Welcome. It is fall and I am Christine of Side Street Design and now my shop, Side Street Design Market. It is fall and I thought it was time to get back on YouTube. I've had a little time off while I opened my little booth, an actual little retail shop. So I'm here to do a centerpiece with you guys today. I'm going to film this video over several days because it takes several steps. But of course you'll see it in quicker time thanks to cut and paste. So what I have today is we are going to be turning this Dollar Tree carvable pumpkin into a centerpiece with paper clay and IOD molds on it. And IOD is Prima Design, Iron Orchid Designs is what IOD stands for. I'll be sure to put a link to all the materials below for you. And what I did was I started playing with these little guys. These were the little tiny Dollar Tree ones. I used Debs DIY paint, which is a clay-based paint. It's a new paint I'm using because it's all natural. I'll put links below. And this is a mold, and I'm making some little guys, and these were my testers. So I figured, why not go big and take you all along with me? So the first thing I'm gonna do is this is my paper clay. Now, the Iron Orchid Design sisters, they do sell a clay. I have not tried it, but everyone is raving because they redid the formula on it, and this is filmed in 2019. So they're saying that it's much better than it used to be. So once I use up some of these, I get these at Hobby Lobby. They are $9.99, and then I use a 40% off coupon. And it's creative paper clay. So once I use this up, I'm gonna go ahead and order some of those, and I'll do a review of the different clays and let you know what I find and what I think. So I have my paper clay, which I keep in my Ziploc so it doesn't dry out. And then I have some of all these different molds, which can be used if you do fondant or clay. You can use resin in them. I'm trying to think. I want some long pieces. So I think we're gonna need some of these guys and maybe some feathers. So I'm just gonna go ahead and you're gonna see me in speedy time pull out some clay. I'll get it in the mold. And then what I also have is I have a little disposable bowl. I tell you guys, bowl. And I got some of this, I was using the Elmer's wood glue, but this came in a bigger container. I'm gonna pour some of this in there, and I'm gonna have a paintbrush. So after I get the paper clay out of the mold, I'm gonna put the glue on it, and then I'm gonna wrap it on the pumpkin, and then I'm gonna let it dry overnight. Now, you could put this right on your clay, but then it gets all over the place. This lets you control it. I do recommend though that if you're using a brush, keep water right by you, and the minute you're done, stick this in the water, otherwise the glue will ruin your brush. So alright guys, let's just go ahead and have a play and turn this carvable pumpkin into a beautiful centerpiece. guys. So overall, this took me about 30 minutes to do all the clays and put them on. Of course, for you guys, because you know, once you see me do a couple, I cropped and sped it up for you. Now I know it seems like there is a lot on here and that there is a lot of detail going on, but that's important because when I paint it, I think I'm either going to do this in a white or a light green, and then I'm going to go back with this dust that's going to bring out all the details. So I want this to look kind of very vintage and aged, so I want a lot of good little nooks and crannies so it won't look quite so, sorry guys, there we go. I'm going to bring it in for a close-up here. So I used only 2 molds, and I'll be sure to list them below. Some key things to remember: your paper clay, as it dries overnight, it will shrink, it may crack. What you want to do is you want to make sure you take a big enough chunk when you put it in your mold that you're not having to go back and add extra, because wherever you merge them in the mold, it will dry and you will get a seam and it will crack. So I did have that issue on one of these guys, and I put some wood glue in the middle, and so as you can see, the wood glue sticks really well. Nothing is falling off, but these will need to dry overnight. I can't go painting it right away, otherwise I'll smush all the detail, but I'm excited to come back and show you how it turns out. And this is going to be my centerpiece for Thanksgiving this year, or it may end up in my shop. Just depends upon my whim. So I will be right back, guys, and we will get to painting. Hey guys, I am back, and this has dried for a good 24 hours, so we are going to go ahead and give this its first top coat. What I'm going to use is, this is a brand new DIY color from Debs Design Diary DIY paint. This is the Tarnished Pearl. It is kind of like a creamy white. See? So to give it this nice antique look. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this as covered as I can, and we will go from there. So I've got my first coat mainly on. I'm gonna let this sit for half an hour, let the top dry, flip it over. I'll paint the bottom, let that dry. Tomorrow I'll come back and I'll put my other coats on, or if I have time tonight, I'll wait a half an hour in between each coat. And the next time you see me, this will be fully coated. I'll let you know if it was 2 or 3 coats of paint, but already you can see what a difference this is making and how this is looking like one uniform piece. And then once we get the, let me see if I can find it here. Once we get the DIY Decrepit dust on there, it's really going to make it look vintagey and fun. So just hang in there with me, guys. I know this is a multi-day project and it's sped up for you on the video, but if you have a couple of these going at once, it makes it all the more fun, and it's a unique piece for your home decor. And as you can see, I'm not being super gentle. The paper clay is pretty sturdy. It's not really, you know, breaking or damaging or anything. So again, guys, I'm gonna let this dry and I will be back with you soon. Alright guys, we are on the final phase of this pumpkin. It has had 3 coats of the Tarnished Pearl color. You can still see a little bit that it's styrofoam, but that's okay. I didn't want to do more than 3 coats. I'm going to back out just a little bit so you guys can see a little more. So now, lastly, I have my Paint Pixie wax brush, my DIY clear wax. Now, I will recommend, this was the one I was using for just clear. I did use the Decrepit dust. I did a tester, a little guy, and it did leave a little bit of a residue. So I would recommend a brush for each thing you're doing. These are an investment. I think these are like $30. So you are going to want one for clear wax, one for dark wax, one for your Decrepit dust, just to keep things so they don't get contaminated. So we've done all of our painting. I'm going to go ahead and take just some clear wax, and I'm just going to first go over this real quick and get an initial coat of clear on here so that the Decrepit dust has something to stick to. And you can see I can be a little bit rough. It's fine. I don't have to let it dry in between. I'm just trying to get an initial clear coat on here. And a little goes a long way. It smooths like butter. So a little goes a long way. And I can feel it's a little greasy. I'm going to try to hold it by the stem to get the bottom here. And it does change color just a tiny bit. And when you start to feel your brush really smoothly flowing, you know you've got enough wax on there. When your brush easily, it's not like catching on the styrofoam anymore. So I just want to make sure I get this into all my little crevices. And what's good with the wax is you just let it dry overnight, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to clear coat over it. They actually, there's mixed reviews, but the key is wax, if you're doing anything, should be your last coat because it needs to breathe. Okay, so what we're going to try to achieve now, and again, DIY is totally non-toxic, so I don't need gloves on. It feels like I have a creamy butter on my hands. I do need to grab, I forgot to grab a rag for buffing. I happen to have one. There we go. So what we are going to attempt to achieve is this look. So all the dark areas you're seeing is the decrepit, dark and decrepit dust. And this pumpkin was painted just like this one. So what I'm going to do, and now for a 4-ounce container, it's about $13. And as you can see, you get about like this much in it. So what I did was I got a craft mat to work over so the dust doesn't necessarily get everywhere. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure my brush has some clear wax on it. Make sure that's got some clear wax. And then I'm just going to stick my fingers in here. It's almost like a light powder. See? Wipe that off. And now we're just going to get into those crevices. And I may have used too much wax on here. We will see. I want to make sure I'm going to have to do 2 coats and just keep working the dust on it. And I'm going to fast forward and you guys can watch me work the dust in. I know that this may look a little bit like a hot mess right now. I don't know, the light might be too bright. There we go. So you can see it kind of looks all uniform and stuff. What I was trying to do was really get it down into the crevices, because now I'm just going to take a rag and do the magical part. I'm going to start wiping it away. See that? Watch. I'm just going to wipe it off the high points, just like that. Leave it down the crevices. I'm going to go gently so I'm not pulling too much out. But now I'm just going to go back, and you can see where I'm cleaning it off. And it's staying in the nooks and crannies. And you get this beautiful vintage look. I apologize if you hear the saw in the background. My husband is out cutting a whole bunch of wood for me for some fall signs I am making. So this guy I might go over a little more. I really want him to have good detail, and I feel like some of the dust is wiping off of there too easily. I'm going to do this one a little more gently. Make sure I'm not getting too far into the crevices. Again, I'm just wiping off the surface and leaving the dust in the crevices. And there you go, guys. You have your vintage. I'm going to buff this one. Just go along. Take off as much as you like. You can always go back and add more. That's the beauty of it. Let me get some of the highs on here. Leave it in the lows. I feel like this side has a bit too much. It's a little easier for me when I put it down to wipe off. But the good thing about this is like you're adding all this texture, so it doesn't necessarily look as styrofoam anymore. And there we go, guys. You have a vintage inspired fall pumpkin using dark and decrepit dust. Make sure you guys can see that really well. And I just love the look. It gives it like a real vintage antique-y look. And I'll be sure to put some photos at the end so you guys get a better idea. But I just love this, and I can't wait to put this in my booth and let someone take it home as part of their fall decor. So thanks for following, guys. If you liked the video, remember to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will be back crafting, DIYing, and thrifting with you soon. Take care, everyone.